Well, hello everyone, and welcome back to Speaking Spurs and me, Kieran, talking all things Tottenham. Apologies in advance for the voice. I've been playing football today and I've lost my voice a bit. It's coming in and out at times. I don't know what it sounds like to you, but in my throat, I can hear it up here, and it almost sounds a bit reminiscent of Sean Dyche. So apologies in advance. Today we're going to be talking about the 2-0 win over Chelsea in the Premier League. It is our first win over them at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. 3 previous Premier League games against them, we failed to score a goal. This time round, we put 2 past them to put pressure on Graham Potter, whose Chelsea team just haven't quite connected. They've spent money. It's going to take time. We all know on this channel I'm a fan of Graham Potter, and I think if the board give him time, he'll come good. But Chelsea, in the past, are notorious for being a team that want instant success and aren't willing to have patience. Teams that do have patience tend to have managers that come good. Arsenal with Arteta at the moment. Jurgen Klopp at Liverpool didn't have the greatest start. Look what they went on to do. So yeah, they look lively. They've got the makings of a decent team. They put some good patterns of play together. They just don't seem to have that connection yet in the final third. Raheem Sterling came back into the squad. I think that was his first start since in a long time, and he was probably their biggest threat in the game. So we'll talk about the controversy first. The red card that then got overturned, because I know a lot of fans have got their opinions on it. But anyway, yes. Just before I get into it, don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you haven't. Hit the video with a like if you enjoy it, and please post your comments below. So the first thing that there'll probably be comments about in the comments section afterwards is the Ziyech overturned red card. So there was a bit of a kerfuffle between several players in the pitch. Challenge went in. Players obviously weren't happy with it. A bit of argy-bargy. Emerson Royale was the last one to come over and gave a nudge on Ziyech that he didn't take kindly to. He then pushed Royale back, and it appeared that he went for his face. Now, instant reaction, referee, he waited a bit, he took the advice of the assistant officials who told him to brandish a red card. The VAR then had a look at it and told him to go over to the screen and have a look, which he did. Kristen Stellini actually came out afterwards saying that, he hasn't really got any arguments with the decision because the referee went over and had a look at the screen, whereas the majority of the time, they're not going over to the screen, they're just taking VAR's decision and being done with it. This showed that the referee was trying to keep control of the game. He'd actually let quite a few challenges go unpunished in the game, which actually I like to see. So the red card was then overturned. And then when you look back at it, Ziyech was just reacting to a lot of stuff that had gone on in that short little period of time. And the initial push was just meant to be somewhere down here. His hand then slid up and hit Royale in the face. So, as much as I would have loved to have seen him sent off, it would have been the wrong decision. But if he had been sent off, I don't think Ziyech would have been complaining too much himself, because the second you push anyone that high up, you expect that there's going to be a bit of aftermath. But the goals in this game come from 2 of our academy players in the form of Harry Kane, our all-time record goal scorer. But the goal that got us on there, got us on the route to victory, was Oliver Skipp. So happy for him. Since he came back from Norwich, he'd done really well for us. Then his injury kind of set him back a bit, and he's had to wait patiently to find his way back into the team. And I couldn't be happier for him. You could see the passion in his face, in all the other Tottenham players when they went over with him to celebrate. Stellini, obviously the man of the moment. Another victory under his belt. Not even any draws. Another victory. Some big clean sheets in there as well. Whilst deputising for Antonio Conte, there's a lot of Tottenham fans out there thinking that Stellini and Ryan Mason are the answer and Conte is the problem. I can assure you that's not the case at all. What it actually is, in a nutshell, Stellini is doing everything that would be done on a day-to-day basis by Antonio Conte. The difference is, without Conte there, the more senior players have to take more responsibility. They've come out and said that themselves. I think I spoke about it in the last video. Ben Davies had done an interview and he was saying that the senior players have kind of, been taking more responsibility, which is something they should do all the time. You can't just rely on the manager. But let's talk about the players themselves in this game. So Fraser Forster, obviously in goal, continuing to deputise for Hugo Lloris. He made an early comfortable save from a João Felix shot, and then a flying save to deny Sterling in the first half, although that was then called offside. He then dived bravely at the feet of Havertz to make an early important save midway through the second half. That was actually some good reactions running out down at his feet. He didn't have much to do, but with what he had to do, I thought he did pretty well. So, considering it was a London derby as well, and one that we traditionally come out on the worst side of, we'll give him an 8. Christian Romero, 9.5, bordering on a 10. He continued with a flawless performance. Pretty similar to what we saw against West Ham, top draw. He kept on the right side of the line with his aggression, which is a rarity from him. And Chelsea just couldn't find a way past him. It was as close to a perfect defensive display as we're going to see from anyone in a Tottenham shirt. He had a very nice moment of coolness where he poked the ball through a Chelsea player's legs. Very cheeky. You get that one wrong and then Chelsea are through on goal. Then next to him in the middle, Eric Dyer. Another impressive display from him. And do you know what annoys me about Eric Dyer? He has these moments against smaller teams where he just has, sort of like an off day or switches off. Maybe it's a bit of complacency. But, against teams like Manchester City, Chelsea, he always comes out with a top draw performance. It's almost like the pressure of playing the big teams gets the best out of him. So, yeah, impressive from him. Swatted away everything that Chelsea threw at him. He then grabbed the assist for Kane's goal when he flicked on a header from Son's corner. So, yeah, a 9 from him. Then on the left of the three, Clement Longley was in for Ben Davies, as Ben Davies is out playing left wing back, and very well, might I add. So Longley did everything that he needed to do down the left of the back three. He was pretty much in tandem with Ben Davies throughout the game and kept another clean sheet. So he comes away with an 8. And then let's talk about one of the men at the moment, Emerson Royale, at right wing back, keeping new signing Pedro Porro out of the team still. The fans are really starting to love him now. He's a hard-working player. Everyone in and around Tottenham, the squad, the management, everyone really likes him as a guy. He tries really hard. And I'm glad they're starting to come to fruition. So another all-action display from him with a couple of early challenges and surges up the pitch. It was actually his shot that was saved in the build-up to Skip's rocket of an opener. So although not his strongest performance that he's done recently, still a very good one against a tough team. So he comes away with an 8. On the other flank, Ben Davies, proving to be a really solid alternative to Perisic down that left. And the beauty of him being there is because he's played left-sided centre-back for most of the season, his defensive skills are much better than the other left-sided players we've got. So he defended well with Longley and locking down the left-hand side. Didn't offer too much going forward, but in this game you don't really mind because Chelsea are a team that have got enough pace and quality to hurt you on the break. But, he kept Chelsea out in the other direction. It was a really good showing for him for his 300th performance in a Spurs shirt. And, there's lots of fans out there that aren't keen on Ben Davies. Over the years, they can't understand why he's still at Spurs. But to make 300 performances for the club, bearing in mind, he's not always been first choice. He battled for the left back jersey with Danny Rose for all those years. He's constantly been out of the squad, but managers seem to like him. He's got a sensible head on him, a good footballing brain, and always gives at least a 7 out of 10, and that's what he comes away with from this game. Then in the middle, we'll start with the solid Viking that is Pierre-Emile Højbjerg. Saw a first half shot deflected onto the right hand post. He's forming a good partnership with Skip with plenty of understanding between the two. And it just seems to be that Højbjerg is kind of the gel that holds everything together defensively for us as a team. He's got the energy, does what he does. He gets an 8 out of 10. Oliver Skip. He's getting sharper and sharper and showing more and more that he's ready to claim his spot in this team. Having to come in to cover for Bentancur, who'd made such an impact since signing for us. He made some swift early breaks, from our half, one of which actually resulted in a 1-2 with Emerson that led to a Kane shot wide. He then scored his first goal for the club with a rocket of a shot from distance that Kepa could only palm to the underside of his own crossbar and in. Defensively, he was really disciplined. Tactically, there was good intelligence there that Conte and the coaching staff absolutely love. He had the fans singing his name throughout, and I'm really happy for him. You could see the passion in his face when he scored that goal, the players running over, how much they enjoyed it with him. So he comes away with a 9. Then into the front attacking 3. Dejan Kulusevski, a busy performance down the right, tried to make things happen. He was involved in the build-up to Emerson's shot before the Skippy goal. Still not quite hitting the heights of what we've seen from him, but he's a busybody. He works really hard, and that is something that all fans appreciate. Even on an off day, you'll see him running around doing his bit. So he comes away with a 7. The man in the middle, Harry Kane, he scuffed an early shot across the face of goal. Everything that Spurs did in attack pretty much came through our number 10. As he held up the ball, he sprayed it all over the pitch. He was rewarded on 82 minutes with an unmarked finish at the back post after Dyer flicked on Son's corner for goal number 268. So for those people that think that Jimmy Greaves' 2 goals in the Charity Shield that weren't added on, now he's truly level with him. So 8 out of 10 for him. Then, hang on. Then last of the starting players, Richarlison, a man that splits hairs with the Spurs faithful. So, there are a lot of people out there that just aren't happy, and I think it comes down to the price tag. Look, he costs a lot of money. Has he hit the ground running? No. Do many players hit the ground running when they come into a club? No, they don't. He left everything on the pitch with a battling performance from start to finish. It was lacking in quality in the final third, but not the spirit. Now, I think a lot of fans give him criticism because he's not scoring goals, having assists and stuff. But I tell you what, in this game, had Sonny started, I'm not convinced that we do as well. I'm not saying we wouldn't have won, but the reason I say this is defensively, Son is poor. He doesn't close people down hard enough. He doesn't show enough determination. I don't think always it's because Sonny's wussing out. I think there's still something in his head from when he went in for that challenge that broke that player's leg. I can't remember who it was now. I'm sure someone will put it in the comments. But since then, he just seems to pull out of tackles all the time. He's not a malicious guy. And he's just not aggressive enough on the pitch for me. Richarlison has that. He gets in the face of the opposition. He winds people up. He's likely to force players into a situation where they'll get bookings. He just does things that other players aren't going to do. And he's everywhere. He runs around, he works really hard. He didn't stick to that left-hand side at times. We saw him pop up on the right. We saw him in the middle a lot supporting Kane because predominantly we use the ball out wide on the right rather than the left in this game. So he was taking up positions centrally, which then meant Kane could drop deeper and get onto the ball. It will come for Richarlison with more game time. He is not going to set the world alight if he's not getting the game time. You can't expect him to come on with 10-15 minutes to go and be amazing every time. It takes time to get into the pace of the game. And if you're not playing regularly, you're going to struggle. Simple as. If Richarlison was playing week in, week out for the majority of the game and he was starting and Sonny wasn't, Richarlison would be doing incredibly. All right? Do not for a second think he's not doing it for us. It's just we're not giving him the game time. You know, Sonny's still not right in his fitness, which is why he's still not starting. So now let's talk about the subs, and we'll start with Sonny. But anyway, Richarlison comes away with a 7 out of 10. Sonny came on, and within minutes, he whipped in a perfect corner for Dyer to head on for Kane to score. Apart from that, didn't have much else to do, didn't do too much, but gets a 7. And this is the thing. Sonny can come on and could be an amazing impact player. A bit like Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was for Manchester United. Son has got good pace to burn. He's a tricky player. But sometimes he drifts in and out of games. So if he's coming on against a team that's been up against Richarlison for the majority of the game, who's been winding them up, pulling them about this way and that way, getting in their faces, making strong tackles, Sonny comes on, they're knackered. The last person you want to see come on the pitch after all that torment from Richarlison is Sonny. And this could be a good thing that we're seeing. It'll get him up to speed. Porro made his way onto the field late in the game. He actually replaced Richarlison for the final few minutes. He went on a few strong runs down the right, but wasn't really on long enough to command any marks out of 10. And yeah, that was it in terms of the players. Stellini obviously used the substitute of Porro just to add another defender onto the pitch to shore it up, but someone that is good enough to stretch the game. But all in all, it's a good performance again. We're getting there bit by bit. So now let's talk about Stellini and his press conference. So for him, it was, let me see. Yeah, so he was actually asked about whether he wants to be a manager one day. Because that's now 4 wins from 4 with in charge of Tottenham. I think 7 in all in his time with Conte. He then, they asked him if he wanted to be a manager one day, and he said quickly, no. It gives me belief about the team. So that is the most important thing. I feel that the team follow the process Antonio creates, and they take more responsibility without Antonio, something I was speaking about earlier. He said, this is what I believe in. He was asked on his thoughts on the performance and had Antonio called. He said, yes, Antonio called immediately straight after the game. He was really happy because he suffered a lot. But now is a week. But now is week. Sometimes their English isn't particularly great in word order. But now is week. Antonio is back, so we are happy for the win. We are happy for that, and we have to give many compliments to the players because they played a great match. Okay. Have the team grown in having to be without Antonio? So he said, yes, it's like a teenager that has to become mature. The team react in this way and they take a lot of responsibility. Everyone, players that play and players that are sometimes not playing. This is why I'm glad to stay here and keep the chair of Antonio warm. Then he was asked about Oliver Skip, the man of the moment. He said, since we arrived here, Skippy surprised us in that moment. In January last season, we lost Skippy for a long time. The rest of the season, and when Skippy started this season, he was not fit, but he worked hard. He's a great guy who works 100% every day. He needed the time and the opportunity. When he had the opportunity, he showed to everyone the way and the confidence he has in himself. This confidence came from the work he does every day. He was asked about Antonio Conte and if he'd arrived back before or after the game at Sheffield United, and when he arrived back to a team with more confidence than before his departure. He said, yeah, so he'll be happy. Yeah, happier for sure, because we had a good game. We played a great game, but the confidence was fine also when Antonio stayed in Italy. We have to follow the momentum and stay and be consistent in the performance. So this is what we spoke with the team a lot, but the performances were good also before, but sometimes not consistent. Now we are consistent and we have to follow in this way. So he didn't really answer the question at all there. He was asked about the red card and the confusion around it. He then said, immediately when it happened, for me, it was clear the referee needed to give him a red card. But the referee was so good to explain immediately, and the fourth official as well, what happened on the pitch and why they needed the time to take to get the right decision. They needed the time because they first needed to understand who was the player. VAR helped find out who was the player who pushed Emerson. Also for the referee, it was a red card. Then VAR calls him to check it, if it was violent or not. And the referee went to the screen to check this and decided it was not violent. Do you think it was the right decision? Have you seen it? And then typically, as most managers do, they say they haven't seen it. But he said, for me, it's fine what the referee decided because he went to the screen. Many times we discuss the referee not using the screen and the VAR is not involved. We are not lucky because every time the VAR is involved, it is against us and not in our favour. But this is only about lucky, not about what happened on the pitch. I am happy because the referee was good to explain to us and keep everyone calm. And actually, I felt at times, Tottenham Chelsea tends to get a bit scrappy in the challenges part, and I actually thought the referee did a pretty good job of sending players away from situations and keeping things calm in a game that is quite often turns on its head. I mean, does everyone remember the day where we threw away our chance to win the league against Chelsea, and challenges were flying in absolutely everywhere? I think that was the year Leicester won the title, wasn't it? It was disgusting. Speaking of Leicester, the Leicester game aside, it feels like the defence is solid again, as that come from working with them more as a unit. He then said, it is more about unit work and helping each other. More than defensive solutions, it's about this. It's about transition and how quick you are to recover position. Sometimes, like today from the start, it is about to cover the space quickly, slide and break the line together, working together. It's more about this. And then talking about the academy players scoring. Oh, then somebody, because he didn't answer the question about when Antonio will be back, someone put, just to double check, do you think Antonio will be back for the Sheffield United game or for the weekend? He put, this is the only thing I don't know. My feeling is he'll be back this week, but I don't know when. So there. From Stellini, expect to see Conte back maybe this week. So let's talk about Emerson Royal, because it can't go unnoticed. I mean, it's just amazing what difference a year makes. If we go back that year, Antonio Conte made a big deal about there being a huge chasm between Tottenham and Chelsea and how much of a monster his old club Chelsea actually were. Sometimes when we play them, we struggle to even lay a glove on them. But this time round, they didn't really do it against us at all. So what does it say here? It was in keeping with a record that before Sunday had seen the North London side win only 7 times in 62 attempts against their rivals from across the capital. 7 times in 62 attempts. And that just goes to show how much of a big deal it is against them. And it's a London derby at the end of the day, so form kind of goes out the window in this. And, despite the fact that Chelsea are struggling this season, they've been struggling in seasons previous. They've not always finished above us in recent years, and yet we still haven't really managed to get past them. But, Emerson Royal, he's just, I don't know what has actually happened to make him turn this corner. He's just been absolutely fantastic. His work rate, his energy, his attacking play still isn't quite there. But there's just something inside him that has just clicked to the point where he's trying things on the pitch. He's being confident with the ball. And the wing-backs themselves in this game, if you'd have told us, I don't know, a month ago, that the wing-backs for the Tottenham-Chelsea game would be Emerson Royal and Ben Davies, you'd have been saying, do you know what? Let's not even bother playing the game. We're going to get ruined. We're going to lose. And neither of them are even remotely what you would call an Antonio Conte wing-back. They are a left-back and a right-back. But Emerson Royal is clearly playing the best football of his career and keeping a 40 million player in Pedro Porro on the bench. And then Ben Davies gets his 300th appearance for Spurs. And keeping a natural wing-back in Ivan Perisic out of the team. And not just a natural wing-back, a Conte wing-back. This is somebody that Conte turned into a wing-back. Neither of them tick all the boxes, obviously, as a wing-back. 29-year-old Davies he tries to get forward and slings in across when he can, but it's not his strength. Emerson gets to a certain point on the pitch and then desperately looks around, panicked for Kulusevski or Kane to play the ball to. But both of them combined for the goal against West Ham last weekend, which was, as unexpected as it was wonderful. And then defensively, I mean, we have no problems with either of them defensively. They're doing performances that help shut out the opposition completely, and they're providing other uses in tucking inside in midfield. Like Emerson especially does this. You'll struggle to find two harder working players within the squad. But Emerson's stats as well were incredible in this game. He made more tackles than anyone else, with 7 to his name. He won possession 9 times, which was more than anyone else on the pitch. He won 13 duels and 3 more of them in the air, as well as completing 3 clearances, and he made 4 touches in the opposition box. Now, actually, there were stats, and he was first for 5 different things defensively on the pitch. It just shows you how good he has been. The turnaround has been incredible. Like, over the last 3 months, we're 3 months on now from his substitution where he was jeered off. And it wasn't great, really, the fans doing it. But the matchday programme before the Chelsea match had an image on the front and an interview in which he spoke about his turnaround in fortunes. He said, "I've always worked hard on my game throughout my time here. I know that at times it has been hard, it has been difficult, but I never lost focus on my football. I always tried to do what I always did to get here in the first place. Now, thanks to God, better things are coming my way, and that has been the case in recent matches. I think you can see when a player is confident, he shows on the pitch, things come easier and work better. And I have always been myself, the same player. Some people say that it's a different Emerson, but the truth is I've always been the same player, the same Emerson, the one who played for the Brazil national team, Real Betis and Barcelona. Now I find myself in the team playing well, and I hope that it continues for a long time." He's a likeable and infectious, happy person. He's become one of the most popular members of Conte's squad amongst his peers. He admits, though, that his turning point came first away at the Etihad Stadium, and then with his man of the match home display against Manchester City with his running battle with the £100 million man Jack Grealish. Said, yes, definitely, it was a turning point, he said with a grin. It was a huge game at home in front of our fans just after we played at their place, where I scored, but unfortunately we lost. I'd say after that away match, something clicked for me and people started to speak positively about me again. You could see at home the team had the support from the fans and they showed their confidence in me. So he's found his happy place now at Tottenham. Brazilian teammates Lucas Moura and Richarlison are always going to be a massive help. They all play FIFA together constantly. They hang out at each other's homes, even play in a band together. While a certain Argentinian has helped Emerson on and off the pitch whilst kicking his backside in celebrations in the form of Cuti Romero. He said about Lucas and Richarlison, they're both incredible players, 2 of the best. It's a great pleasure to share the pitch with them. Richarlison has only just got here, but he already has very important roles to play in the team. Here, Lucas is a very experienced player and helped us a lot. Richarlison and I are quite similar in a sense, that we are both young at heart. He is a younger player, and we get on well together. The same with Lucas, but he is more of a father for me than... which is, more of a father for me and Richarlison. Now, this is quite funny, actually, because I wouldn't say that Lucas comes across as a father. Within the squad, he's very immature and mucks about a lot. But hey, during the times that us two get annoyed, Lucas is the one to calm us down. He added, given that mix, I'd say that both have played a very important role in helping me to get to the level that I'm currently at. Romero too. He has helped me a lot on and off the pitch. He's a great guy. It's an honour to play with them all. So, it's been a great fortnight for Emerson Royal. He's had great performances on the pitch, couple of man of the match displays. Then off the pitch, he got engaged to his girlfriend, which he put up on social media. He's set to become a father for the first time with his partner, expecting a little boy. So, it's just great for him all round. I'm really happy for him. So yeah, we got a little bit to talk about in another video. I will talk about the Daniel Levy pay rise. That hasn't gone down well. But then I'll also talk about maybe why he's been entitled to take the pay rise with the Formula One contract that's come through, which is quite exciting. Maybe not for a lot of the football fans that only think Tottenham Hotspur should be the ones at the stadium rather than Beyonce concerts and boxing matches and NFL. But hey, we need to make money somewhere. And if this money can go back into the club and make it self-sustainable, why not bring it on? So thanks for sticking around. I hope you enjoyed that one. Just about the half-hour mark now, so thanks for sticking it with it. I hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget to subscribe, like and comment. And until next time, come on you Spurs.